Thanks so much for taking the time to chat to us, Rhod. You've just sold out York, and you've sold out many of your other shows on the tour. You've had really great reviews. How are things for you at the moment?
Pretty good. York is the second one of the tour. Started in Cheltenham, it's the second one. So I'm still having fun with the show, basically. Catch me again in 4 months, and I might be a bit fed up. But at the moment, I'm happy and enjoying it. And York was great fun. And long may it continue.
I was going to say, obviously with doing the same show every night, how does a comic cope with that? How do you cope with that? Do you keep it interesting for yourself? How do you change things?
You saw the show tonight. It was full of hecklers and quite conversational and quite loose at times. So you've basically got your show that I take to Edinburgh, which is this sort of hour show. And Edinburgh's the bit where that question would be really relevant. If you'd caught me in the middle of the Edinburgh Festival or towards the end, then I'd be head in my hands. Then it's really acting to keep it fresh. Because you've got to go out there pretty much. There's no room for conversation. There's no room for the show to be loose or for it to open up and breathe at all. So you've just got to do the same show every night at the same time in the same room in Edinburgh. And that's really you've got to really dig deep. And it's a nightmare. I find it a nightmare. Once I come out on tour, this is Sunday night. We did one on Friday night. There's usually a day or two breathing space. And you're in a different place, a different theatre with a different audience. You can put an interval in and just let the show breathe. There'll be more conversational. The room isn't full of critics and press and people and judges. The room isn't full of people who've been to 6 shows in one day like Edinburgh is. It's people who have booked a babysitter. This is their one night out for the month or whatever. And suddenly the show comes to life and I come to life, and I love it. It's great fun. And there's an hour show, but tonight's show went on, I don't know how long it went on for, 2 hours maybe, but it was, most of that, a lot of that is just improvised and heckle based and conversational, which really freshens it up and keeps you interested and fun.
Do you find yourself developing material for the next show as the tour goes on? Did you leave that purely for previews?
I did last year. The process last year was the first time I've been methodical about it. Where this last year's tour, I would every night try and drop in. Not every night. I would try and drop in new bits along the way, and I would try not to do them too many times. Because if you're coming back to a place 6 months later, for example, I did York here, not that long ago, a few months ago, 6 months ago on the last tour. So every tour show last year I was trying to drop in 1 or 2 new little bits and then yank them out and put them in a document, sort of, labelled Edinburgh 2009 or whatever, and yank them out and not do them too much. So this year, I haven't started doing that yet this year because it's only second tour show, but once I get this show up and running, then I'm hoping to put new little bits in all the way along and work them in and then take them out and then keep them for previews and then put it all together for the preview thing.
We'll go back a few years. You started quite late to comedy, I believe. You started about 34, was it? Something like
33,
that?
yeah.
33. And I actually read on the internet that you actually did a stand-up comedy course.
Yeah.
Was stand-up something that always interested you?
No.
How did you actually decide to do it? What was the point where you thought, I'm going to have a crack at this? What was the motivation?
I wasn't remotely interested, no interest, ambition to do comedy whatsoever. It wasn't on my radar. I'd never seen any stand-up comedy. I'd never been to a comedy club. Never bought a comedy video as they were then. I'd never seen a Billy Connolly video. I'm quite unusual amongst comics. I think most comics, I think you'll find, have had comedy on their radar and they've wanted to do comedy for a very long time and they can't wait, and they've sort of got their idols that they grew up with and emulate them or not. I had no interest in it or ambition to do it whatsoever. I had a girlfriend I started going out with when I was about 23, 24. She nagged me for 8-10 years to try it. She took me to my first comedy gig at Izzard when I was 27 and just kept nagging and nagging and nagging, and in the end I sort of gave in and I thought, by that point she'd managed to convince me that it was something I could possibly do and might be interested in doing. We went along to a comedy club in London. She took me along to a comedy club when I was about 30 and we went there every Monday. It was the Amused Moose in London. Just a new act club really, and they had a new act competition and we went there every Monday. It was around the corner from my work, and because we were there all the time, the sort of manager there, the promoter of the gig, said, do you want to be a judge of the new act competition? So just gave us a little bit of paper so we could mark the acts. And then after that we kept going on a regular basis, and she said, we're running a comedy, do you want to come and work for me? Just putting the chairs out, welcoming the comedians, doing the lights, the sound, whatever. So I did that for a while, and then she said, we're going to do a course. It was the first one they'd ever done. And I put my name down for that and did that, and the rest is,
I was going to say, yeah, because I was going to say, obviously within your first 2 years, you entered a hell of a lot of competitions and was very, very successful. I mean, what kind of motivated you to do that? Was it just kind of just out of boredom, or just kind of
enter the competitions?
Yeah.
It just seemed to be on the landscape. It just seemed to be what everybody was doing. You know, my contemporaries on that comedy course. So the first one they ever did were Greg Davis, Steve Hall from We Are Clang, both of them. And it just seemed to be what everybody was doing. Everybody seemed to be the new acts around with Mark Watson, you know, Nina Conti, Matthew Osborne, Rob Deere and people, and everybody seemed to be entering competitions. It just seemed to be the thing to do. Particularly, I think, for London-based comics, it's very much on on your radar. So,
did the success come as a surprise to you? Or?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
absolutely, totally. Yeah, I don't even know why I got into stand-up, to be honest, because I'm not somebody normally that. I mean, when my girlfriend would say you could do that, I'd say no, I couldn't. She'd say, oh, you want to do it? I'd say no, I don't. And she'd say, you know, well, you could do. I'd say no, I couldn't. Other people do that. Other people do stand-up comedy. I come from this small town in West Wales. There was no comedy club. There was no comedy. There were no Welsh comedians that I knew of. Wasn't on the radar at all. And I don't know why I got into it, because normally my normal thinking would be, my normal response would be, I don't think I can do that, so I'm not going to do it. I'm quite fearful of trying things. I'm afraid of failure. So how the hell, why, I got no idea looking back why I started doing it, because the fear of failure would normally have kept me from doing it, and I don't know why. I didn't expect anything whatsoever. I didn't expect to get anywhere at all, never get a paid gig. I didn't expect even to get a second gig. So why I did it is still a mystery to me to this day.